Georgette Chen's choice of subject matter are portraits, still life and landscapes, three celebrated genres of Western academic training. They allow Chen to capture the beauty around her as she travels the world, elevating the everyday to something worthy of study, observation and remembrance. Her still life consists of local fruits or cultural paraphernalia. They are composed in a purposeful manner to create balanced compositions and allow for dynamic juxtaposition of textures, forms and colors that accentuate the beauty of each individual object. Her landscape paintings are mostly vistas, the harmony, calmness and exuberance of land, sea, air, and the social activities. They are either painted from a high vantage point or at eye level. Her portraits capture the character and feelings of people she felt close to, her beloved husband, friends and Malayan women in vibrant ethnic dresses. Through her rendering of these Malayan motifs using a fusion of Eastern and Western techniques, Chen successfully captures the essence of Singapore as a melting pot of East and West, earning her title as a pioneering Nanyang artist. Georgette paints to capture the beauty in the everyday on her canvas, taking pleasure in the sensual qualities of what she encountered, rather than chasing art trends and ideologies. Even though she utilized a variety of techniques from Eastern and Western paintings, Georgette's primary motivation is to absorb the world around her as she travels, observing people's lives which she saw as vivacious, fresh and spirited, and transforming them into beautiful paintings. Georgette was also painting to come to terms with her cosmopolitan identity as a Chinese woman immersed in Western culture, torn between returning to communist-run China and staying in America during the Cold War. Drawing parallels to Gauguin's demise of the modern world, that led him to escape to tropical Tahiti, Georgette saw tropical Singapore as her veritable paradise, amidst her difficult position. Art became her way to express her gratitude towards the tropical island and the community, that gave her much inspiration to paint, and a chance to rebuild a peaceful, simple life. Georgette was amongst Chinese artists graduating from a reformed Chinese art education system, which strove to modernize China to be on par with Western powers. They embraced Western painting styles, and experimented ways to fuse them with Chinese styles. Georgette's training in the US and France influenced her artistic practice greatly. Her Chinese motifs contain clear instances of multiple perspectives from Cézanne, triangular compositions from the Renaissance, and stippling colors from Impressionists. Her style clearly reflects her multifaceted identity. During World War II, Georgette and her husband Eugene Chen were placed under house arrest in China by the Japanese. The effects of this tumultuous period can be seen in her domestic still life paintings, dull, tightly cropped compositions of indigenous Chinese vegetables and cutlery, that could suggest Georgette's deepest concern for her country. Eugene also appeared in many paintings, though his portraits reveal anxiety, dread and signs of illnesses. His death left Georgette alone in a precarious world, yet her self-portraits showed fierce determination to bounce back and rebuild her life. Georgette chose to rebuild her life in Singapore to leave a life embroiled in politics and uncertainty. To her, Singapore was a cosmopolitan base, a bustling trading port where many Chinese businessmen and artists stop on their journey between Europe and China, and where many ethnic communities live together. It was the synthesis of East and West, a mirror of Georgette's artistic style. Here, she taught at NAFA, her knowledge to groom the next generation of Malayan artists. She cultivated the Nanyang style with fellow Nanyang artists, by marrying Eastern and Western styles to paint the sensual and tranquil local scenes, the indigenous Malay people's daily lives, their ethnic festive traditions, and the tropical environment of many fruiting seasons. She integrated with the Singapore community by taking Malay language classes, adopting a Malay name, Chendana, wearing cheongsams made of Malay batik cloths, and cultivating enduring multiracial friendships. Her idyllic and joyful renderings show that she has truly found happiness towards her final years in this country. Georgette painted in a naturalistic manner, offering accessible points of reference for the viewers. She used lush bright colors of the tropics, and the pictorial space is flattened as seen by the lack of atmospheric perspective due to the saturated tropical environment, akin to Gauguin's Tahitian paintings. The relationship between color, brushstroke and form is a constant theme throughout Georgette's oeuvre. They exist to inform each other in an inextricable, rhythmic contingent web. Like Cézanne and many post-impressionists, she outlined her objects in a complementary or contrasting color, creating a deep tension between definition of form and instability of color. This is also applied to her portraits, warm pink tones for highlights, green tints to depict shadows. Her still life paintings utilize multiple perspectives within the same piece, akin to Cézanne. The animal lanterns are painted in a flat perspective, while the food is painted in single point perspective. This allows objects to be distilled into their essential geometric forms, a celebration of the complex within the deceptively simple. Georgette used a variety of brushstrokes. Influenced by Cézanne, she used a series of discrete, methodical brushstrokes as though she were sculpting form rather than painting it, allowing her to achieve verisimilitude while leaving her mark. She did not believe in mere imitation of appearance but rather, integrating spirit, form and emotion in the work, a clear influence of Chinese ink paintings. Georgette used both pencil-thin delicate lines and bold, deliberate ones to delineate one form from another, a style that mirrors Fauvist painters. She further expounded her linear strokes by making swirls and long curvy strokes for the clouds, and fragmented lines for water surfaces to denote the shimmering of light. This technique reminds one of the Impressionist painting in plein air. Their strokes show spontaneity as they attempt to capture a visual impression of the fleeting scene. These techniques add a dynamic, lyrical and vivacious atmosphere to the humble everyday scene. This is Georgette's way of paying tribute to the landscapes that have consistently provided creative inspiration, serenity and joy to her.